Got Clark.
And we are coming to you from the coffee shop. We are again at Auntie Irene's because we doubled up on recording today.
Yeah.
So you're hearing this in a week, but we're coming to you from the past.
Yeah. We're still missing Rick.
We are.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. And technically, I'm on vacation again. Sorry.
Way to go.
I'm happy to disappoint you, actually.
Yes.
We're going to be on the Oregon coast.
Nice.
Yeah.
I haven't been to the Oregon coast since I was a kid. Well, probably since I was in high school or,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. The first time I was, we drove across Oregon with a friend of ours. We rented a car.
Mm-hmm.
And we went down to, I think it's called Devil's Canyon or Hell's Canyon. It's a Snake River Canyon.
Yeah.
And we basically went to see that, and it was on fire.
Literally on fire?
Yeah, it was on fire.
Weird.
Everything was on fire. We couldn't see anything. It was all smoky.
Yeah.
And then we drove across Oregon, just kind of camped on our way just through Oregon, and then we ended up on the coast. And this was back in like 96, 97.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to Florence, where the sea lion caves are.
Oh, yeah.
Which is probably the most horrible smelling place on earth.
It stinks really bad. It's so loud.
Right, because all the barking.
It's a horrible place.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of interesting because it's like you're that close to animals, but I've been there like 2 or 3 times, and I'm just like, nah, I'm good.
About the one thing I really, other than the smell and the skeleton that they unearthed when they put it in the elevator shaft, you remember that?
I don't remember that.
There's a
It's
fossilized
been a long time.
seal carcass or skeleton,
Creepy.
right? As you walk it off the elevator, that smell is just, it's like the worst fishy smell ever.
Totally.
And the other memorable thing was they have a staircase off to one side, and you walk up it, and there's a hole through the cave wall that you can peer out and see one of the lighthouses. So it's kind of like a viewpoint. But that's about it. And then we just kind of meandered up the coast and stopped at all the lighthouses, and it's a pretty drive. But that's what we're going to be doing next week.
Right on.
Doing the same thing.
You're not going through like Oregon, are you? The Snake River Canyon. You're just
we're just going down the coast.
Oh, nice.
Possibly also we're going to go down to Woodburn and do witness the Guinness Book of World Records of a Mustang parade.
Oh, that's right.
Which is
said that.
The current record is 620 cars.
Okay.
And it seems like it should be shattered. But at the same time, there's a Las Vegas 50th anniversary of Mustangs.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of people on the West Coast will be going to Las Vegas because it's Vegas.
Right.
And it's a Mustang birthday. Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know if they'll break the world record or not. You know.
Well, that'll be cool.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah. A lot of Mustangs, a lot of cars, a lot of fossil fuels being burned.
Fossil fuels.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a fun trip.
Yeah. I hope so.
I haven't been on like a vacation in a long time. I need to plan one.
I'm actually technically too. This whole week, Keegan's on vacation. So I got some days off this week. I've taken Monday and Tuesday off, and taking Friday off. So and that's it's guys' week. Me and Keegan kicking it. Kenita's still working. Yeah.
Poor Kenita.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Somebody's got to make money.
It's true.
Yeah.
That is one very important thing.
Yeah,
somebody's got to make money.
It's kind of ironic because you got to have money to do the things you want to do, but you don't have time to do the things you want to do because you're working to make the money.
That's what my French cinematography professor, Michel, would say all the time. He was this like ancient, like he's passed away now, but like maybe 75-year-old French cinematographer who was my cinematography professor. Like he would wear like bandanas tied around his neck and like jaunty caps. Like he was very like stereotypically French.
French? Did he have the accent too?
Oh yeah, and he would say, "When you can't afford the swimming pool, you do not have time to swim in it." We used to do all these really funny impressions of him. One time, someone in one of my classes found a condom. No, they found a condom wrapper like in the corner of the classroom, and like it was like the studio, like a not like a classroom, but like basically a theater for cinematography. And someone found it, and we were laughing about it, and he was like, "What do you have?" And they held it up, and he was like, "Oh, I cannot wear those. They make my pecker look like a tiny terrorist." I thought I was going to die. Like, that's all my friend and I said for like the next 3 weeks was like, "It makes my pecker look like a tiny terrorist." He was so funny. And he used to do, like, he has all these old, like, Hollywood credits from, like, the 60s that are, like, you know, Mission Impossible, the series, and, like, all these really cool old, like, movies with Charlton Heston in it and stuff. But then in the 80s, he did Melrose Place. And so he was the DP on Melrose Place for, like, years and years.
Which is director of photography.
Right, director of photography. Okay. And so he had all this like swag from 90s Melrose Place.
Oh, nice.
And so, or like late 80s, early 90s. Okay. And so it was so funny to me because in every other way he's this very like grand French person, but then he would have like a sweatshirt that said Melrose Place on it, and I just found that to be really hilarious. Yeah, neon, like the neon, like the late 80s looking colors, and it was always like it made it seem like he was just a really big Melrose Place fan because all of his stuff had the logo on it, but really it was just because he got it free at his job. Yeah. But it would make me laugh.
Keegan actually was expressing interest again in making movies, and I was like, oh, you know what? I heard, I can only assume that you do get free swag from when you start working in that industry,
right?
Because they want you to promote the show, and these are giveaways and stuff like that. So I was like, well, if you're not making any money, at least you have stuff to wear.
That's true. Yeah. And you like that's the movie making thing is you work for free for until you can get a paying job, and then you get a paying job. But if you're one of those people, like I have friends from film school who are totally went to LA and slept on someone's couch with 9 other people and did PA work for 2 or 3 years, and then did assistant tuba producer jobs, and then like just slowly worked their way up, and now have like really awesome jobs. You know, I never have that in me where I'm willing to work at Starbucks 40 hours a week and then also work at a free filmmaking job 40 hours a week and never sleep and be destitute. Like I don't have that in me. I need to like have a paying job.
Well, you need to do that when you're like at this certain age where you're supposed to be doing, like you're mid-20s, early 20s.
Yeah. Well, I did a lot of that in my early 20s and like was just like,
it's taxing.
Yeah. Some things I'll do. Like, I'll do theater for free forever.
Yeah.
But, like, shooting movies is so much more work in that sense than theater. Because theater, you get feedback constantly.
Right.
And so, like, even if you're rehearsing for a long time, then you perform and you're in front of audiences, and it's the experience of it is that fun thing. When you're shooting a movie, really, like, you're just doing it isolated.
Right.
Like, nobody's watching 90% of what you're doing, and it's so much work.
And it may not ever be seen.
And then it may not ever be seen, but even if it is seen, it's just a totally different experience than when you're performing live.
People are less kind, too, when it comes to movies. They're not as kind when it becomes, like, when you're actually working.
But and even that, like I made a few things that were really great, and people loved them, but, like, the amount, like, it's night and day the amount of time spent on theater versus movies, because like I shot this one stupid little short that was like 22 minutes and it took like hundreds and hundreds of hours, like the shooting or the prep work, the shooting, then the editing, then like putting music to it, like the entire process took like so long.
Well, you can see where the expense lies too when it comes to
because you can do like little stuff that's like low budge, that's like easy to do, but like really if you want to do it well, it's a lot of time, and then you're just like making that short was me in an editing room for hundreds of hours for nothing, you know. And I say nothing as in like like then at the end, like some people watch it and it's fun and stuff, but I could have just done an improv show in 45 minutes. And in a lot of ways it would be like funner and more entertaining and require much less of me than putting a movie
the biggest part of the process was getting all your stock, like all the stuff you shot, and then whittling it down to something that's it makes sense.
Yeah.
Too,
it's a lot
of
work. And then the worst part about that actually was the sound editing, because you'd be surprised how much sound makes a difference in watching something.
Yeah.
And you, like, if you want it to be really good, you basically, like, remove all of the sound and record things individually and mix them together, because ambient sound sounds wrong when you watch it on film. Right. Because it
sounds tinny.
It does. It sounds tinny, and you don't, like, in movies, you hear every movement that is made.
Right.
But in real life, you don't. Like, when a person walks, you don't always hear their footsteps. But if you're watching a movie and someone's walking and you don't hear footsteps, it's jarring. Like, you feel like you should be able to hear everything that happens. And so... That's
where the Foley comes in. Foley
exactly.
Artist. Yeah.
So, like, it's just a lot of work, you know? And, like, I don't know, like, it doesn't have to be, like, you can make, like, web shorts that are, you know, like, little short things.
Right.
To make, like, a real long thing is, like, a lot of work.
Yeah.
It kills people.
Yeah. That's why people who are successful in it have been doing it a long time, and they're pretty much, they're old by the time they become successful. I mean, they've been doing it for, like, they were as a hobby, and then it developed into a career.
Right. And they have to be people who, like, to me, the difference between me and my friends who did it and like, they found inherent value in the act of the whole shooting process. And me, it was just like, oh my gosh, this is taking so long. And, like, it's, like, it has moments of fun in it.
Right.
But, like, it's more tedium than fun. So that's why I've always gone back to live stuff, because I'm like, but live stuff is, like, 90% fun. And 10% tedium of getting stuff together, or if it doesn't go well or whatever. But really, even if it's a crappy show, the experience of it is very fun to me.
So you'd be more geared to more like a sketch type show, probably.
Even though,
or an improv show.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Right. That's why I think I've always, like, gone back to live stuff, because I don't mind doing free things as long as they're fun.
Yeah.
You know, and making a movie is fun in a lot of ways, but it's so expensive and so much work and so exhausting, and then, like, I don't know. Yeah.
I'd like to try it, just see if I could do it. But I don't know if I can do the improv part, though. I don't know. Maybe I could. I don't know.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Improv is optional.
Yeah. That's why it's improv.
Yeah. Doing scripted things, I always say, though, is harder than improv.
Yeah, because you have to have timing, and you don't want to come off as...
If you can improvise... No, if you can act and read, like, do a script and act, I think, like, just having, like, real interactions is easy to connect to. But if you aren't, like, if you're not that great of an actor and you're trying to read off a script, like, that, it's gonna be bad.
You sound wooden. Yeah.
The like, people who act with a script well usually are good improvisers already, because that's why they're good at acting with a script.
Right.
But that's, I think, because the improv thing is just learning how to turn off those things where you're judging yourself, where you're, like, censoring what you're doing, so that you're just responding naturally to things.
Right.
And if you can do that in improv, you can do that with a script.
Yeah.
But, well, no, actually, well, if you can do that with a script, you can do that with improv.
Right.
Because you've learned how to, you know, turn off the thing.
The filter.
You can just flow or whatever.
Isn't it, like, a lot of times, too, like, really good actors will have the essence of the script and just kind of improv it anyway.
Yeah. Some do.
Yeah.
Yeah, some do not.
Yeah.
But I think acting with a script is harder than being funny and spontaneous.
Yeah.
Especially because of the audience's responses are different. Which actually I was recently listening to the guy who plays John Ralphio on Parks and Rec. Do you watch Parks and Rec?
No, we're about to get our cable back, our internet back, so it's coming
soon. Watching TV.
Yeah, so we'll be a little bit more up on the current events and pop culture.
Well, this season of Parks and Rec is not super great. I think it actually they were gonna cancel the show and then they didn't not cancel. They were gonna just end the show because it's really popular. But then they decided not to, and they had built up this really convenient ending. And then they also lost a few of their main actors. Like Rob Lowe isn't on it anymore. Rashida Jones isn't on it anymore. And so is it Rashida Jones? No, my brain just turned. Yeah, Rashida Jones.
Okay.
Quincy Jones' daughter.
Okay.
Anyway, so they should have ended it because now they're like kind of trying to do a remix. You know, like now it's a little bit different, and it just doesn't work that well. But the guy who played John Ralphio on it is an improviser in LA, and he was on a podcast talking about how there's some show that's long form improv, and it's on it's on one of the G4s, like the deep cable.
Right.
And I was like, that would be interesting because live long form improv is like the greatest thing on earth to me. Like the most purely funny, brilliant, it can go so wrong though, because it's like mini plays that people do that are all improvised. But I was like, there's a TV show. I should find out. I should check it out, and because it's really great improvisers and
that's on G4. You said
it's on one of those really deep cable channels, and he said the name of it, but I forget. But I thought I should check that out because the whose line is it anyway kind of improv I'm not that into because I find it very hokey and very jokey.
It's good once in a while.
A hilarious joke, and it's all kind of the same joke. And it's funny if you never watch improv, then it's great. And even if you go to a short form show, it's always got a lot of laughs.
Right.
But it's just not that exciting to me.
Drew Carey still hosting it, or is it
probably? I haven't watched it in years.
He was doing the American one. And there's a British one.
Yeah, but that ended in the 80s. Oh, okay. That's old school. Or it ended in the 90s, I guess.
And they had...
But I guess they're doing live long form on TV that's kind of just like a recorded stage show. And I was like, I would totally watch that.
It sounds fun, actually. I think I would probably watch it. Yeah, but the show you were mentioning, Whose Line Is It Anyway? It's I found myself... I'd watch it sporadically. If I hadn't seen it for a long time, I'd pop into it and okay, this kind of catches my interest. But then they tend to run them back to back, and I get bored with it. It is the same show essentially every time.
It's totally the same.
Even though it's supposed to be improvisational, they have a formula.
Oh, totally. Well, because that's with short form, it's all joke based. So if you know the form of jokes. You just make those, maybe it has a different context to it, but it's the same joke, you know? And so, but the difference of, what's funny about long-form improv is honest reactions to brand new situations. So it's instead of watching, I'm at a party and I have, 16 arms, and, you're he's gonna... that's funny because it's weird.
Okay.
The long form, you get a suggestion of, penguins or whatever, and then you make these scenes that are little short plays. Right. And the funny of it isn't jokes, because actually if you try to do jokes in long form, they totally fall because the audience wants to get absorbed in a play.
Right.
And so if you then start honestly interacting, you'll say stuff that doesn't, if you took it out of the context of long form improv, is not funny in and of itself.
Right.
But it's the humor of honest reactions to abnormal situations is so funny. And there's these two guys, there's a documentary about it. It's called Trust Us, This Is All Made Up.
Oh, okay.
And it's about TJ and Dave, which is TJ Jagodowski and Dave Pasquazi, who are the gods of improv.
Okay.
And they do a show in Chicago at the Improv Olympic Theater that IO, it's called now. That's a Wednesdays at midnight for $5 show.
Oh.
And they also perform with Second City and Dave Pasquazi does stuff with Steppenwolf and stuff. He's kind of an actor. an actor.
Okay.
They're in a lot of Harold Ramis stuff too, because as side people, because they're kind of from that, like they're a little older.
Okay.
And they're kind of odd ducks. Like I haven't watched the documentary yet, which I'm really interested to do. But like they're people who, if they weren't a little off, would be gigantic stars. But they're both just a little weird, and so they've chosen to like just stay and do theater.
So they're kind of eccentric, yeah,
for sure. Super nice guys, and like, but totally just a little weird. Like, I don't know. There's like folk legends about like that TJ like has been offered spots on SNL like 150 times,
right?
But has turned them down because he has vertigo. And I don't know if this is true because I've never asked him about it, but like that's the story, is that he can't do TV because of his vertigo, because like he can only perform in stages that are like that have certain things, or he gets so bad vertigo that he like falls down or whatever. I don't even know if that's true. That it could totally just be what people say.
It could be like the folk legend,
right?
Yeah.
But that was, and he can't fly apparently. So he stays, like everything he shoots is like he's in the movie Stranger Than Fiction.
Okay.
He's in quite a handful of movies, but they're all filmed in Chicago. And so I don't know if that's like urban legend, you know.
Maybe that's in his writer, you know. Maybe. It has to be in Chicago.
But he does have vertigo, and like he says that. Anyway, I took a bunch of classes from him, and he's like the nicest guy ever. But he like, and I think he's like so talented. Anyway, the whole point is that they're these two guys, and they do an hour and 20-minute long single scene. Like they don't change. It's one play from the beginning of the show to the end of the show, and they do it every Wednesday night, and it's $5, and it sells out every single week. And like to hear them talk about it, they always talk about like the less funny you can make the scene, the funnier it will be.
Okay.
Like if the scene is this really mundane thing, and we just are looking for like the specifics about that character, it will be funnier because we're not trying to make it funny. And like it's like fighting against the urge to go like, oh, I'm gonna make this joke and this joke and this joke. No, I'm just gonna make this character really specific, and then it will be hilarious. And I watched them do one show one time that was, the entire thing was TJ was a secretary at like some kind of business like conglomerate that was having some problems. She was like the receptionist who does like all the phone calls.
Right.
And Dave played a really skeezy bike messenger who was kind of trying to hit on her a little bit, but was just like a really weird guy who would like talk about his calves a lot. And like for an hour and 20 minutes, and the whole time I was just like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And like I don't even think anything happened. It was just like these two people interacting for an hour and 20 minutes, and I laughed my ass off. And it was so mundane, but like because
it becomes funny to me because it's you can, it's relevant to it brings out like, it's like the funniest things to me are truth. Like,
right, exactly.
It's not exactly there's a joke in there. It's just because it could happen to me, it could happen to you, and so it pulls out that humor. Yeah,
and
I like that.
You know, because you watch them go from nothing to this full thing where like you realize like this is all pretend and made up. So like TJ would like do like a certain movement, and Dave would interpret it immediately and like respond to it as though it's real, and maybe he's not even intending it, but then it becomes real, and so you're watching all of that magic happen, and it's so good. But that's one of those things that, like, if you're not there live, like, I wonder how it translates to TV.
Right.
Because I feel like it may not.
It may not.
Because, like, really part of the, like, the coolness of it is being in the room.
Yeah, because you're
feeling like it's truly made up, you know?
Also on TV, you're catching what the camera sees, and when you're there live, you may be catching something totally different that's going on than what the camera sees, and it's
for sure.
Yeah.
So I wonder. So I want to watch it and check it out.
And that's called Trust Us. That's the documentary
about TJ and Dave. I can't remember what the name of the long form improv show is, but I'm sure I can find out and let people know. But yeah, the documentary is Trust Us, This Is All Made Up, which is what they say at the beginning, because TJ and Dave don't take suggestions from the audience.
Oh.
They walk out on the stage and everyone claps, and then Dave says, "Trust us, this is all made up." And then the lights go down, and then the lights come up, and they start a play.
Oh, nice.
And they, they just start acting off of each other, and then it builds. It's great. It's the best $5 you can spend in Chicago.
That's
if you can get tickets ahead of time.
To find that chemistry too must be really hard. Because they've probably been doing it a long time.
I'm sure they've been doing it for 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, like easily since the 70s.
Yeah.
Or TJ's probably like late 40s, so maybe not 70s, maybe the 80s. But Dave is a little older. But I'm sure they've been doing it for 15 years as it is now. So
it'd be interesting to see.
It's really good. Like every person who ever visited in Chicago, I was like, "Are you going to be there midnight on a Wednesday?" Then I have the show for you.
Oh, nice.
But you have to call way ahead of time because they sell out every single week. So I actually, after living there for 6 years, I went to it 4 times.
Is it a big house? A big venue? No.
No, Improv Olympics seats like maybe 150 people.
So they're not really bringing in a lot of money for that night.
Well, they have a bar and everyone performs for free, and they have a training center, so I think they're doing all right.
Yeah.
The owner drives a very nice car. And she, in my opinion, exploits her labor because zero of the... actually, I think TJ and Dave get paid for their show. Right. But nobody else does.
It's probably kind of like the headliners at a comedy club. People go in there and...
Yeah. But at a comedy club, the performers get paid.
The headliners do.
Yeah.
But
even opening acts in most places that have a ticket price.
Well, I'm talking, when they bring in, they open the mic up for people.
Oh, yeah, at open mics, no. But this is 7 nights a week, 5 shows of improv.
Yeah.
Nobody gets paid, which, in my opinion, is exploitation. Yeah. But when you get up to a certain point, then you start teaching classes at the training center, and then you get paid.
That's where you make your money.
And so, but then improv becomes a pyramid scheme.
Oh.
Because then it's all these people getting paid to teach other people to do improv, and then the other people, if they want to make money doing improv, they have to become the people who teach the classes, and then it's just a big pyramid scheme, if you ask me. But people really just do it because they want to become comedians, and they're doing it as experience and stuff. But I just do it because I find it delightfully fun.
I am going to take the biggest nap when I get home today.
Yeah, are you?
Yeah. I took one yesterday.
Took a nap. I got a lot of sleep last night.
Yeah?
I went to bed at like 10:30. It was awesome.
When did we get to bed? About 10:30, 11? 11 o'clock. But I was drunk.
Oh, so, yeah, that's right.
We also
got drunk at your niece's birthday party?
Yeah.
How old is your niece?
20.
Oh, she's only 20? I feel like maybe you guys have an alcoholic family.
We might. It was Vietnamese house too. No, Cambodian.
Vietnamese are the worst.
Cambodian, yeah. I'm looking at my wife she won't say anything.
Cambodian? Yeah. That's just a weird place to get drunk, if you ask me. Is at the birthday party of a family member who is not yet old enough to drink.
Well, I'm not saying she's drinking.
I know, I'm just saying.
There was Jello shots, which I did.
A birthday party for a person who can't drink with Jello shots?
Well,
that's a little weird.
Her girlfriend's old enough to drink.
Uh-huh.
So she was the one that was throwing the party.
Yeah. Just saying.
I know. It happened.
It happens, totally. Yeah, I think today, I'm still moving out, or moving some of my, unpacking a little bit in my new place. But I think I might, if the weather holds up, start my vegetable garden today.
Oh, nice.
Which I've seeded. I've done seed starter with all the vegetable seeds. And so they need to sprout.
Yeah.
But we need to actually, pull out all of, a section for the vegetables.
Right.
And I feel like that will take me longer than one day.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, either today or tomorrow, digging out it's a grass in quotes, Because the person who used to live in the house didn't ever take care of the lawn.
Right.
And so the grass is really just weeds.
Okay.
And so I'm cutting out a section of the weeds so that then when we reseed the grass, that section won't be for vegetables.
Okay.
So we won't see.
What are you growing?
Like tomatoes, onions, garlic, peppers.
Yeah.
I think I got zucchini, maybe some herbs and stuff. I got a whole bunch of different stuff.
Nice.
So just like a few of each, like not a gigantic garden, but enough that, if we get it going.
About late summer, you'll start getting good tomatoes.
Totally.
Yeah. I might. One suggestion: you can put a copper strip in the ground around the perimeter.
Okay.
Keeps the slugs away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a good.
Yeah, just
thing.
like a wire. Just you don't want to bury it. Just put it in a perimeter because they can't. You don't want them to go under it or over it. They won't go over it.
Okay.
But they will go under it. So you want it to be around.
So you want to bury it?
Yeah, just a little bit. Put it on the ground, just like a wire.
Well, we were gonna do raised beds because we're getting compost. So we're gonna build a little frame of wood and then pour the compost in and kind of mix it into the soil. So it'll be a little higher.
Yeah.
And so what if we just put the copper down before we put the compost? Would that be deep enough?
You want it so where they won't be able to traverse it. You know what I mean?
I know, but I don't know what you mean.
They won't touch the copper. So you want it exposed. You want it exposed.
You don't want it buried.
No.
Okay.
Maybe if it's a strip or a wire, just have it on the surface. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's good advice. I never even thought about slugs.
Yeah, slugs and snails will destroy your garden.
Really?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, they love tomatoes.
Yeah. I love
and strawberries.
Also. Not doing strawberries. But we are doing raspberries because my nephew has raspberry bushes that he's transplanting here from.
They will do well here.
Yes.
Yeah.
They grow everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited and being realistic with maybe
are you gonna get bees?
Won't be very good. Bees. Not
trained
yet.
attack bees.
Trained attack bees. Not at the moment.
No.
The problem with the bees is we have kids who live in the house behind us, and I was like, we probably can't get bees. Even though I totally want bees.
Yeah.
We might plant some bee-friendly flowers and stuff, though, to attract bees.
Yeah.
Because bees are very good. But we probably won't have a hive.
Yeah, I think there's an ordinance, too, because they're technically...
You can have bees in certain
because they're technically a stock. They're a livestock.
Right.
So.
I think I looked it up when we first started kicking around the idea of having bees. And there was a whole website of beekeepers in the city. And so
if you have allergies, bees are a thing. Bee honey is a good thing to have.
It is. I would love to have bees.
Yeah.
But we need enough space to have bees, and I think we're too close to our neighbors. So.
And it's weird. There are a lot of beekeepers in Seattle.
There's a ton. Yeah, they have a whole beekeeping association.
Yeah.
Another thing I did this week, which I just remembered, is we had our first ukulele band meeting, and we did it over Google Hangouts. Have you ever tried Google Hangouts? It's so easy. I don't know how it is to set up the Hangout, but our band leader, Ai Wei is her name. She just sent out a bunch of emails with a link in it that was at this time, click on this link. And then you click on it, and it just opens up a screen that's like a video chat with all the different people.
Okay.
And a couple of people called in, and she was saying that to add them to the call-in thing, Google Hangouts gives you a phone number, and they just call the phone number, and it puts them in that chat.
And this is free.
Yeah, it's free. It's so easy.
Google Hangouts. We could, when we, as we get further in, we could, if we set up a studio, we can have guests do that possibly.
We could, maybe. I mean, it's really clunky in terms of if we were recording it. I wouldn't like it. But in terms of getting together with a group of people around town online, it was way easier than Skype, and I think Skype is even easy.
Yeah.
But you didn't even have. You know how Skype just sometimes you're like, I don't know what's wrong. It was just so much simpler. You just click on the thing and it all just does it automatically.
Yeah. Skype is definitely cool, but also frustrating at the same time because. The person freezes on your screen.
I know. And Google Hangouts kind of did similar things, but it worked for what we needed it to do.
Cool.
And we're having our first jam session because the person arranging our ukulele songs is still working on the arrangements. So in a couple of weeks, I think like 2 weeks, we're all like, Iway sent us, she has a fake book with ukulele charts, and she just made like, I think we have like 10 songs that are all like, half of them are Elvis, half are the Beatles, like just kind of classic rock to jam on. And some of them, like one of them's Dream a Little Dream.
Oh, cool.
Which I think is a great song. And so it's actually the most challenging one because it has like 8 chords in it. Because it's kind of a complicated chord structure. But anyways, we're supposed to all practice the songs, and then we're going to get together and have like a jam where we hear what it sounds like to all play as a group, and then learn how
Where's your jam session going to be at?
we need to all fix our... I'm anticipating tuning problems being major because ukuleles are not very stable in holding their tune. We're meeting at somebody's house up in Capitol Hill.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like, right on. And we're going to meet like every other Monday night. So it's pretty convenient for me and is going to be fun, I think.
Be nice to see your first show.
Yeah. And who knows? I mean, I don't even know where we're going to perform. But we
do you have a
talked
name?
about...
Do you guys have a name yet?
Nope. We don't even have a name. Rick suggested Drunk Tank Pink, which apparently is the color that they paint drunk tanks because it supposedly soothes people.
Yeah.
And so it lulls. It's that industrial pink.
It's like you're in a giant vat of Pepto-Bismol.
Exactly. Yeah, which I think is really funny. But I don't know what we're going to be called. But we talked about doing like some mariachi style serenading out on like either downtown or in Capitol Hill, like on a Friday night, just like finding a street corner and playing.
Yeah.
And we talked about like doing some open mics and some, find a bar or something that has a stage and do some performances.
That'd be fun.
I know. I think it would be really fun. But I suggested the mariachi style thing just because I was like, it's free. Like, people can ignore us or not, but it just seems fun, and why not? Like, especially with ukuleles being so transportable, we could all stand at Cal Anderson Park in a semicircle and just play outside, and people would, half listen to us, and we'd be out nothing, and it would be good experience.
As long as you don't have a case open collecting money, I think it should be fine.
Well,
I think,
even if you do,
aren't you supposed to have a permit for that?
A busker's license or whatever. They're so easy to get in Seattle. I mean, I feel like there's so many street musicians already, especially downtown. I'm sure we could just find a free spot on a Friday night and play, and nobody would bother us. Even like in the courtyard at Seattle Central, I'm sure we could play.
Yeah.
Because it's not like we have any equipment. We'd all just be standing and
just ukuleles.
All acoustic.
Something you can fit in your purse.
Yeah. Totally. So that's our plan. I think it's going to be very fun.
It sounds fun.
Yeah. And there's a couple of women in it that are like obviously are going to drop out. You know what I mean?
Oh, right.
And so I think there'll probably be like 5, which I think is perfect. Like more than 5, but it seems like there's going to be 5 people, like the percussionist and 4 of the ukulele players who are really like there all the time.
So what's the percussionist going to do? What are they going to
drums?
I know, but what kind of drums? Like bongos?
Whatever. I have no idea. Yeah. I didn't even ask. They just wanted to do percussions. And it seems like a good thing to have. And like Iway plays bass ukulele. And so she's actually going to be functioning as the bass line because she has the larger, deeper toned ukulele.
I didn't know they made bass ukuleles.
They have all kinds of ukuleles.
Yeah.
They even have Thai ukuleles which have no resonant board. You know how ukuleles, the type you see are deep like guitars?
Yeah.
The Thai ones are thin like mandolins.
Okay.
And have 8 strings, so like 2 on each note.
As in like from Thailand,
Yeah.
Oh,
and you have to strum them quickly because they have no resonance. So you strum a ukulele and it just goes.
Yeah.
But she was saying hers is it's more like a crisp sound, and so you have to keep strumming constantly.
Okay.
Or the sound stops because it just goes like and it's done. And so you go like.
Okay.
And I googled it. They look a lot different because she was like, I have a Thai ukulele, and I was like, I've never heard of that, and neither had anybody else. But it's the same 4 strings.
Okay.
It's just
And about the same size. And,
yeah.
Okay.
But it's just has a different soundboard and different, like 2 on each note.
Okay.
So it's a different
Cool.
kind of variation on it. But they even have ukulele banjos that have a mini drum and have the funky banjo quality.
I've seen those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They look cool.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I kind of want one of those, but they're kind of expensive.
Yeah, because banjos in their own right are expensive.
Yeah, totally.
But they're hard. That's the hardest one to learn to play.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because you got to pluck them.
Yeah, like the fingering is totally different.
Like Steve Martin when he does his. Yeah.
I met a guy in Cal Anderson Park. Now, speaking of Cal Anderson Park, at the film forum thing last summer, that was the Pee-wee's Big Adventure movie outside. I met this weird hobo who told me that he's best friends with Steve Martin because he's apparently he plays banjo all different ways. He was telling me all of the ways that he plays banjo, like he plays it right-handed, he plays it left-handed. Apparently there are many ways to play banjo, and he went on and on and on, and Steve Martin is his best friend.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I hope it's true, because in a world where a weird hobo in Cal Anderson Park is best friends with Steve Martin is a world I want to live in.
Yeah, I mean, it's so random, it could be true.
I know. He said he's met him at banjo and bluegrass festivals that they go to, and I was like, and he's your best friend.
Best friend.
Or you're crazy.
Besties.
Yes.
I'm going to go probably crazy, but I'd hope he was best friends.
I know.
I would hope Steve Martin would be that approachable.
I know.
A hobo would.
And he seemed like he might be, but the guy was just so funny, and it was one of those conversations where it was like, I'm just going to see where this goes. And then 20 minutes later, I was like, he's still talking about banjo. I'm like, all right, well, cool.
Yeah.
Have fun at the movie. It's just so weird. Like when you're at those park things, I was working at the Film Forum tent, just selling raffle tickets and sitting at the booth, giving information about the Film Forum. And so many people walked up that I was like, you do not know what this event is. You are just here because you are always at Cal Anderson Park.
Right.
There's people who basically live there. And whatever happens, they participate in. But clearly they came up not having any clue why we were there, because they were just like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, we're showing a movie.
What are you doing in my yard?
I know. And there was a live band that had been playing before the movie started, and so I got there right near the end of the music, and you could tell that people were just heading toward the music they heard,
Oh, right.
That didn't really know what was going on, and it was do you like Pee-wee's Big Adventure? Have a seat.
Yeah, have you seen Pee-wee's Big Adventure?
Pee-wee's Big Adventure is a great movie.
Is that his first one? That's okay. The first one, that's where he loses his bike.
Yes, and then there's Big Top Pee-wee, which is still a great movie.
Yeah.
But you should watch, and I think I mentioned it on the podcast before, there's a documentary called Beauty is Embarrassing that's about the artist who did the production design for Pee-wee.
All right.
He was part of the little core group of Paul Rubens, I forget the name of the artist, and a couple other comedians who formed Pee-wee's Playhouse as a stage show in New York. And he tells the story of them meeting and them developing the ideas, and he's this totally avant-garde artist who just happened to go into puppetry. And anyway, it's all about him, and it was watching your childhood portrayed as fine art.
Oh, cool!
Because you know what I mean, where you're so much of what I think is funny is based on the visuals of him and other artists like him.
Right.
And so it was just interesting him presented as it showed some of his gallery shows.
Right.
And, he made these gigantic life-size, or not life-size, but bigger than life puppets of people where it takes 20 people to operate it.
Okay.
And just looking at stuff like that as fine art is really cool to me, because it's well, of course it's art, but because he's also a comedian, people don't really look at it as, but Pee-wee's all of the Pee-wee stuff is so visually specific.
Right.
that it's like, well, yeah, somebody painted all that, and somebody came up with the visual style. And
right.
It's really cool. Like when I watched it, because I put off watching it for a long time, and then when I actually sat down and watched it, I was like, I don't know why I waited so long. Like, it was so good.
Isn't when you're talking about Pee-wee's Playhouse and stuff? Didn't it started off like you were saying as a stage show?
Yeah, for adults.
And then it translated into a kids show.
And he talks a lot about how that was like. They were so like people were so shocked at just how like they were doing something for kids that was like so different than other things that people had done for kids that like adults could actually appreciate it, and it wasn't talking down to kids, it was like on their level. And even stuff like the dog that was like smoking a cigarette and worked in a jazz club. Like those kinds of characters for kids were so confusing to people.
It was the blues dog and Chicky Baby.
Totally. Like, and they talk about it like they just were getting away with it and nobody knew why, and they were we're just gonna keep doing it. I know.
I was a little older. It was I was closer. I was an adult. I was a young adult
when Pee-wee came out.
Yeah.
You're not that much older. You were probably a teenager.
Well, 17, 18 years old.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
because I was like 10 or 11.
So, but I remember just all the innuendos.
Oh yeah, totally.
That would fly. I'm like, I got that because I understand what they're talking about.
Well, and Paul Rubens developed the character as a stand-up act, where he would do stand-up as that character.
Right.
And then it just kind of, like, he kept meeting more people, and they developed it into this whole stage show. And then went on TV. And it's really interesting, like, if you watch the documentary, how they show, like, the places that they filmed in, and it was, like, this, like, burned-out warehouse.
Really?
And they just, like, built, like they built little things, and they would just shoot it on their own until like after the first season when it became really popular. Then we got like a nice studio. But he was like, we were all sleeping in the place we shot Pee-wee. Like it was like we would move Cherry out of the way and roll out of bed, and sleep on the ground because they were all like totally destitute, artists in New York in the.
So they were basically they were doing it. They were not making any money until it got bought by.
Totally. Until it got popular.
Then it tragically got dumped.
I know, totally. Anyway, well, we're about out of time. So thanks for listening. Rick will be back next week, and so will Scott and Kanita. They'll be back from Oregon. I will have never left. I'll still be here.
Well, you're in your new house.
I know. It doesn't count as going anywhere, though. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening. Tell a friend. Like us on Facebook. All that good stuff. All right. Huzzah!